I wish you bluebirds in the spring to hear your song, a song to sing, and then a kiss. More than this, I wish you love.
Welcome to the Forgiveness Solution Podcast. I'm your host, Reverend Misty Tyme. Today we're going to talk about staying positive in your life, even when you're up against really difficult people and situations. The Forgiveness Solution Podcast can be found right here at the Sacred Stories stream, either on your iTunes or even on your computer. Run on over to sacredstoriesmedia.com. And what you will find there is a list of so many other podcasts, great podcasts, besides the Forgiveness Solution. Also, Owl. It's an online magazine, and it's brand new and fantastic. And don't forget, at Sacred Stories Media, you can also find Sacred University. Tons of courses you can take to improve your life. Well, today on the Forgiveness Solution Podcast, I want to dig deep into positivity. Even though the title of this podcast is Dealing with Crappy People and a Difficult World, I want to talk about the positive end of that. How did I get the idea to talk about difficult people? Well, it's not because I ran into a difficult person. I definitely have had my share of those in my life, and I'm sure you have too. I was having a conversation with somebody who came to my house to do some work. And then randomly, they came up to me and said, "You're probably one of the most positive people I've ever met." It surprised me. I was like, okay, why would you say that? And their exact words were, quote, "There's a lot of crappy people out there," end quote. I was like, wow, that sounds like a great podcast. Sure, there's a lot of crappy people out there. And that's what I want to talk about. How do you stay positive when you're dealing with that? Well, I want to give you some great tips, 3 or 4 great tips in dealing with that, and a fun couple exercises. But before we get started, I want to ask you a few questions. We're going to kind of do a check-in. The first question is, do you believe that people, in general, are out for themselves? Is that a yes or no? Number 2 question, do you think you have found all the bad people in the world? What do I mean by that? That no matter what you do, it's not going to turn out great. The world's kind of out to get you specifically. So that's a yes or no. We've all had those days where our car breaks down, the dog throws up on the carpet, we burn dinner. Yeah, that's a day. You're like, I want this day to be over. Or does that sound like your everyday? It's important that you can answer this question because I have an exercise that's going to highlight these questions. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to that. Are you ready? It's called the red-blue exercise. I want you to, no matter where you are, you could be jogging. Okay, then you might want to stop jogging. Whether you're driving or whether you're in your house, I want you to kind of look around. I want you to see how many things you can find that are the color red. How many red things do you see right now? Okay, around me, I'm going to say I see about 5 red things. About 5 red things. All right, now I want you to close your eyes. Now, only if you're not driving. If you're jogging, I would stop jogging and just stand there for a second. Close your eyes. And I have a question for you. How many blue things did you see? Not red, but blue. How many blue things did you see? You have no idea, do you? Because you weren't looking for blue. You were looking for red. Yeah, I think that's a very important exercise, especially when we're talking about difficult people in our lives. You know that one bad apple spoils the bunch? When we run into a difficult person or have a really difficult situation, it makes it feel like that's all we've got. We forget that there have been a lot of great people in our life, whether there's somebody you just ran into at the grocery store or whether it's been a really good friend. There's a lot of great people, but that one bad person makes a lot of noise, don't they? They really hurt us. They make memories of negative instances in our heart and our mind and our soul. So it is very important that we realize that that one bad person is affecting how we view the world or that one bad situation. When I'm talking about some tough situations, say a divorce, it makes you feel like marriage is probably the worst thing ever, worst idea ever, not ever going to do that again. Well, it can feel like that. So what do? How do we stay positive when we've gotten a fender bender and we've burned dinner and the kids are crying and it just feels like such a rough life, doesn't it? And I mean that honestly, because there are days where you just don't want to get out of bed. How can you stay positive through that? Well, I want to give you some tips. And these tips are to help you remember how to stay positive in a bad situation. All right. When I was doing my research for this podcast, I ran across a really great blog, and I want to share it with you. It's called the Positivity Blog. It's by a man from Sweden, and his name is Henrik Edberg. He has some great articles on there. I highly recommend it. Well, one of the great articles had to do with trying to stay positive. When all you see is a whole bunch of red, it's hard to see the blue. How do you stay positive through that? So I want to highlight just a few of his suggestions. First of all, find an optimistic viewpoint in a negative situation. All right, that's easier said than done. I can admit that. When you're in a tough spot, when you've had a really bad day, or your boss has yelled at you, or you've done something that you feel terrible about, it's hard to stay positive in that situation. Well, you have to find an optimistic view. What do I mean by that? Simply, be optimistic. Like, this isn't going to last forever. If anything that life teaches you, the negative situation doesn't stick around. Second, what is this trying to teach me? Huge piece to having an optimistic view. Like, oh my goodness, I really messed up, or that person cheated me. What did you learn from that situation? All right, second tip, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. Well, we definitely see children do this all the time. They drop an ice cream cone and it's like nuclear war just happened. Everything is falling apart. But there's an easy fix. For a kid, we'll get you a different ice cream cone. A little bit more difficult when you're adult and the situations are much more difficult. But the fact is, there is an answer. You can do something. We don't know exactly what that is at the moment maybe, but don't make a mountain out of it. And if it is a mountain, break down that mountain into small molehills. All right, number 3 tip that I want to share with you. Add value. Yep, add value to your life. To stay positive, you need to be positive to others. Help other people out. Be that positive person or that light in their life. It will make you feel more positive. You know, even if you have to fake it till you make it. If you really aren't feeling positive, do it anyways. Volunteer. Help somebody with their groceries. Help a friend. It'll make you feel better, I promise. All right, so this tip, and this was on the blog also, I wanted to share with you because it's one of the hardest things for me personally. And I bet it's something that you struggle with also. Most people have trouble with this little tip. And the tip is, learn to take criticism. One of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I'm 50 years old, and I think I'm finally starting to get there. And I was a manager in a very large corporation. I managed like 12 people at a time, or I was being managed at all times. It's tough to hear or tell other people even that they're not meeting up to standards. They need to work harder at something. They need to learn more. You get criticized. It happens at work. It happens at home. Unfortunately, lots of times our spouse will definitely criticize us, whether it be something about dinner or not picking up our socks. We need to learn to take criticism. I've heard many times that criticism isn't personal. Well, I disagree with that. It's absolutely personal because the criticism usually has to do with how you do something or even how you are. It's really tough to hear. Well, in management, I learned real fast that 2 spoonfuls of sugar make the medicine go down. Not that you should make up something positive before you scoop up something negative. It's just a better delivery system. So if somebody is giving you some, quote, criticism, look for the silver lining. Do they like something about what you've done? Do they think that it can be improved, or do they think that you absolutely aren't capable of doing whatever it is that they're criticizing you about? Sometimes criticism comes from perfect strangers, or maybe a friend that has good intentions, but they don't really understand the whole circumstance. Ultimately, you can learn from criticism. Very difficult. It means that you can grow. You can learn to do something better. It's tough, though. It really is. And I know I struggle with it. I know many people struggle with it. Who wants to be told that you're not doing something well? Well, I do have a newsflash. Nobody can do everything well. Not even you. Oops, did I criticize you? Didn't mean to. All I'm saying is that you can keep learning from a situation. The last little tip kind of goes along with the forgiveness solution. It's to let it go. Let it go. Understand that if somebody isn't positive, is having a rough day, hey, they could be the one that had the car accident, their dog threw up on the carpet, or they burned the dinner. They might not be in their best place. Heck, they might not be in their best life. There are people out there that run their life grumpy. And you just kind of have to know that's who they are. They're on their path. And you being positive might help them be positive. That is really important. You have the power to help other people by staying positive even in tough situations. Let's reinforce positivity in your life. That's a big piece in staying positive. You have to reinforce it. You have to practice the positivity. We do practice negativity so much more in our life. We're like, the weather's bad. I have to go to work. Oh, I have to clean the house. I have to make dinner. I have to go see my family. All those things are very negative. Let's turn it around and reinforce the positive. Thank God I have a job to go to that pays my bills. So happy I have a house, even though I have to clean it. Well, I am lucky to have family. So many people don't have family. Comments like that, they change it around. All right, in your head right now, I want you to think of one negative attitude that you have, whatever it is, whether it be going to work or cleaning the house, or my big one, going to the gym. Oh goodness, I don't like to work out. And I'm a big worker-outer. Like, I'm a triathlete, and believe it or not, I still don't like working out. I'll put it off as long as possible. But I need to change that around. Let's change your situation around. I'm going to change mine and say, I am so thankful that my body works so that I can work out, so that I can be healthier. It's important that I go to the gym. It's important for my life, and it's important for my family. I want to change that negative statement and turn it to a positive statement. Now your turn. What is your negative statement, and how can you change that to a positive statement? Go for it. Did you feel the difference even a little bit? That you were able to switch that around? That's what we're talking about. It's a lot about choice. It's your choice. Even if you've been cheated on and dumped, and even if a close family member stole from you, you can choose to change it around. You can learn from the situation. Yeah, it's hard to change it around if you have a family member that you love that's a drug addict or anything like that. You're like, how can I stay positive about that? There's so many difficult people in my life. Doesn't make the bad situation magically go away, and it also doesn't make whatever happened to you right. But it does give you the choice to move forward in a positive manner. And I think that's the most important piece I want to get across. It is your choice to see it as positive. Yes, there's a lot of crappy people in the world, but you can learn from it. For example, the person that said that to me, that there's a lot of crappy people in the world, I have no doubt that she's run into a lot of crappy clients in her life. She works in people's homes every day, and she's seen the brunt of it. But she's seen a lot of red. Like our first exercise, she's seen red, so it is easier for her to keep seeing that. When she did randomly see some blue, which she felt that was me being positive, she was really kind of surprised. Well, I was just as surprised that she felt that there were more crappy people out there than positive people. If you're positive, most likely other people are going to be more positive towards you. When you walk into a situation, try hard not to fully judge the person on your last situation. Learn, don't put yourself in a bad situation over and over again. That could be the lesson. Be positive about the next person you're going to meet. They might just surprise you. Another little exercise for you. I know I'm just full of those today. I love examples, and I love good exercises that bring it to my brain, help me put it in and stick it there. And this is one of them. If you have a bracelet anywhere, even one of those rubber ones that, you got at some rally or something, doesn't matter. Put it on your right arm. Now, for one full day, I want you to move that bracelet to your other arm when you complain. Complain about anything. You're going to probably say, I don't complain much. Well, guess what? We complain a lot. And this is a great exercise to let us really understand how much we complain and how can we be positive if we're complaining all the time. Okay, perfect example. I had to pick up a chair and move it so that I could do this podcast. It just wasn't in the right place. There was a lot of noisy stuff going on around me, and I needed to move to a different room. Guess what? I complained about that. What a silly thing to complain about, but we all do it. What are you complaining about right now? Is it something about work, or is it your schedule? Is it the kids at home? Is it your spouse? What is it? What are you complaining about? Is it simply that your coffee got cold? Whatever it is, I would like you to take note of it by simply moving that bracelet from one wrist to the other. And then think about how many times per day you've had to move that around. It will help you understand that we complain about the littlest things when we have so much to be positive about. So that was my real last exercise of the podcast. Yep, no more closing your eyes or moving things back and forth. Now I'd really like to summarize what we've talked about today. I really hit a lot of great tips that I found on that positivity blog. Yeah, and I really expanded on them and how forgiveness kind of plays into every one of them. Letting things go, seeing things different, changing your perspective. All great tips, but also are exactly what you do when you're trying to forgive someone. The first tip that we hit on was having an optimistic view, even in a negative situation. There's some little nugget that you can find. The second one was don't make a mountain out of a molehill. And even if it is a mountain, because truthfully, some things in our life are mountains. It sure feels like it. Break it down. Make little molehills. Don't stay on a mountain, because I'm telling you, it's very hard to see the top or the other side when it's a mountain. Much easier if it's small little things. The third one we talked about was add value to other people's lives. First of all, you're here. You're here and you're important. You can make a difference. You have the power. And when you do that, when you make a difference in somebody's life, even if it's just by being positive daily, it helps you feel better and helps you stay positive. The hardest tip I shared today, hardest thing for me personally, and so many in the world, is learn to take criticism. That's a tough one. It sure is. Learn from the situation. Grow. Be better. Consider the source, though. Don't take every piece of criticism that you hear. And last, but so far from least, remember, it's your choice. You really can choose to be positive. Surround yourself with really good people. I used to tell my kids, trash in, trash out. What does that mean? If you're surrounding yourself with really bad, negative situations and people that are not making good choices, It's going to probably make you pretty grumpy also. Change where you are in your life. Put more positivity, whether it's exercising, eating right, getting a good night's sleep, or joining a club full of really highly motivated, positive people. It does change how you will feel. Have you ever heard misery loves company? Well, get away from the misery, even for a short period of time, and find the nugget of positivity. Let me leave you with a great quote. A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. And that's from Winston Churchill. How you want to look at things. Are you seeing tons of red like our exercise, or are you seeing any blue? Find the positive blue piece in your life. You've got a lot of them. I bet you do. And I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what positive, amazing things have happened in your life because you chose to see the positive, even in a tough situation. You can find me, Rev Misty Tyme, at revmisty.com. That's REVMISTY.com. Also on Facebook at Reverend Misty Tyme. I would love it if you could follow me. Also, I have some great and exciting news coming up, and I would love to share it with you. Sign up for my newsletter, get a hold of me on my website. I'd love to know how positive things have helped you in your life. I want to know more about your forgiveness stories so that I can share them with so many other people. We really love to be in community, and I would really love it if you were in my community. I look forward to hearing from you very soon. Thank you for listening in today at the Forgiveness Solution podcast, and please get a hold of me. You can find the Forgiveness Solution podcast right here at the Sacred Stories stream. Until we have a chance to be together again, I hope you have a blessed day.
I wish you bluebirds in the spring to hear your song, a song to sing, and then a kiss. More than this, I wish you love.